What's going on, guys? Let's talk about Bitcoin and Ethereum. We may even touch on Neo and possibly gold. We might look at gold as well. But first, I'm going to start on this Amazon fractal. I've referenced this before. We had this massive move up here. And the percentages really don't matter. They really don't compare to the Bitcoin chart. That's not what I'm suggesting. But you had an 8,500% move up. And then we had this just gigantic range behind that, where we didn't break the previous high for 10 years. And we ranged, it lost 95% of its value. Note that I'm on the log chart. It lost 95% of its value before running back up, and this was mostly sideways when you're looking at a log chart. But after finishing that gigantic corrective structure, we've simply continued up. So if we pull up the volume profile, let me do this. All right, I want to get just this range. It's tough. Let me see if I can take off log. Yeah, I can. Okay. It's tough to get what you want when you're looking at a log chart because it resizes the bars. So see, our point of control was right here. Right here at this level, we revisited that level and it's never looked back. $35. So we had high volume here from 35 up to 38, and then it just never looked back. In terms of Elliott wave, this was some kind of three-wave structure with an A, B, C. Well, I should have said W. A, B, C, A, B, C. So you've got something like A, B, C for W, A, B, C for X, A, B, C for Y, and then we took off. That was the end of the correction. So this piece in the middle is particularly what I'm referring to. Let's go ahead and pull a bars pattern for this. And we're going to take that over to Bitcoin. We'll drag it from here all the way to the low here. And we'll put that on the Bitcoin chart. So I'm just going to copy that. And we're going to look at Bitstamp today. I'm going to hide this for just a moment. So what I'm suggesting is that this low corresponds with this point here. And we have something like, something similar to this. Doesn't have to play out exactly. And we already know that Amazon didn't break the high here. You know what, let's turn this into candles, or high-low bars will work. Something like this. If we also look at VPVR, we have two prices of relevance. 3,900 and, well, previously is 6,400. We've had a lot of consolidation in here at 8,000. Let me double check BitMEX before I say this for sure. Yeah, so see the point of control on BitMEX remains at 64.56. But there's a couple of relevant levels there. But what I'm suggesting, high time frame, is that 6,400 will be what $30 was to Amazon. Possibly up here at 8,000, one of these two levels. But after we complete this, we would just continue up. So the question becomes, is this corrective piece complete, or is it still going? If you measure time on the Amazon fractal, let me pull it from the bottom here. Now keep in mind that I did compress this, but it's still the same ratios. This wave and this wave will still be the same length and time compared to each other. So we moved up, and then this correction took just over, well, right around 1.4 times as long, just under 1.5 times as long as the correction, as the move up. So we could expect the same thing here. This move up corrects for at least half the time, 1.5 times the time, sorry, excuse me. It could potentially end somewhere around here. Now, what I've been suggesting for quite some time is that this is just the first wave of a larger correction. And that remains very possible for me. However, you can see on the fractal that it remains possible that it's more simple than what I'm suggesting. Let me try to line up these bottoms here. I'll just do it this way. So I mentioned this 8,000 range was another area of interest. Let's mark these out real quick. I personally don't believe that we're going back to 3,800. But that's obviously a high volume area. So I'm suggesting we could have more upside. We could even have sideways upside, then come visit both of these high volume areas, drop below this one, and recover. If we were to do something like this, this would be your buy-in zone for potentially massive upside. $6,400 range will be a position where a level where positions are built. Whether they're longs or shorts, you need to be on the right side of the market. My suggestion is that longs will be built in this range. We've spent a ton of time in this area. When we were down here, everybody said, well, we need to retest 6,400. So they all thought that we would hit right here and get rejected. They thought we would see major rejection here and everybody was shorting. Instead, we pushed up through it. Now we're getting that retest of 6,400 and suddenly everybody's calling for 2,000, 1,000. I believe 6400 will remain a level of relevance for decades. I think buying 6400 could make you tons of money. You already would have made a ton of money here. 6400 to 8600 right now, current price. So let's go down to the daily and focus on this structure here. Want my channel back. So I've been looking at log a lot, log scale. I had a discussion with Trader Kaz. He said, yeah, I always use log. I don't really have an argument for or against it, but I'm always on log. And that was kind of the second or third time I'd heard about using it constantly. I typically only reference it for major moves. Like this was a major move. And this is a pretty major move, but I was looking at each piece individually rather than the whole thing. I think it's relevant here, and you can see the difference. Between this, so look how perfectly this blue zone catches every bottom. Here, 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 here. And the red zone catches every top. Here, 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 here. Now these are the pivots I picked, these arrows. These are the pivots I used to draw the channel. So of course these caught the move. But for it to follow along perfectly in these is pretty impressive. If we switch out of log into linear, or arithmetic, you can see that it really doesn't do that. Some of these lines come into play, 75% range, 25% range even was in play, but we never revisited the bottom of this channel. For me, that's evidence that the log chart captures this move quite well, and I think there's a lot of reason to use log. If we look at percentages, this was a 35% move. This was a 37% move. Very, very similar. But this one was 4,900 and this one was 3,800. That's why using log captures the move a little bit better. So you can see on most exchanges, we've broken out of this channel completely. To me, that suggests that I've been correct in what I've been saying for a long time, that we had a corrective piece that completed. Now, please note that I don't take full credit for all of the calls I made. If you're following me and you're not following Friends Call Me AP, then you're not doing it right. A ton of what I know is because I simplified my outlooks based on what AP taught me. The guy is a genius, and he's definitely worth a follow. So this is how I'm counting it. A, B, C. There's other counts out there. There's W, X, Y, X, Z in progress. But why would this all be a Z taking as long as the rest of these moves? That doesn't make any sense. We're actually approaching that same timeline. Yeah. If this moved down at the same pace that this one did, we would be right at that 1-to-1. So they're saying that this ABC took the same amount of time as this WXYX. That doesn't make any sense. One Z wave took as long as the other 4 waves. That doesn't make sense for me. I believe this move is completed, and it was either complete here or at this next pivot. Primarily, I think this is an AB base of some sort. So our new move did start from this low, this pivot low. This could also be an ABC. I don't get picky about that. I don't care. I believe this was our low for this corrective move. Now, that doesn't mean that we're just automatically going to impulse, but it could. It could absolutely mean that. It could mean that this move up has been corrected by this move down, and now we're doing something similar, heading to that top. But that's just not my opinion. My opinion, change the degree here, is that this was all one A wave, and that we've started a new B wave. If for this to fit into the Amazon fractal, the B wave would have to be tiny. Thus why I believe that we're going to take longer than the internal workings of that Amazon fractal. Our market stays open longer, we have less fundamentals, there's more reason for us to trade sideways longer than the fractal in the Amazon chart. So I see us doing something more like this. But I'm keeping that Amazon fractal in mind. It's relevant. But even if it takes out here, I'm fine with that. Being that we, in my opinion, have completed this move. Now, one of AP's things is using MACD to separate your waves. So when it flips red, that suggests the previous impulse was complete. We had this move up in blue, all one impulse. It flipped red, you now have an A wave of a correction. Flipped blue, red, blue. That's an A, B, C of another piece. Flipped red, C. A, B, C. Now that we see that, as soon as we flip blue on the daily, that suggests that our move down, our first structure is complete. Our first 3-wave correction is complete. So we either impulse out of that or we make a new corrective wave behind it. For me, it's that simple, and that's how I recommend looking at it in general. So the question becomes, are we going up again, or are we done here and going down? This channel is one of the reasons I think we're going up again. I also see a lot of bearishness still. I think we need to get higher to flip some of the bears to the bullish side. And I actually think we're going to take out this high, and people are going to say, okay, we've made a higher high, so now the bear trend is over. Well, that will be correct. This trending piece down will be complete. But that does not mean that we have started an uptrend. It simply means that we're in some new trending piece that could be part of a macro sideways trend. That Amazon fractal fits what I'm talking about pretty well. So generally, I think we're going to come up and break this. I also see resistance at 10.1 that could stall us, but 11.4 is a highly relevant level for me. And then I think we're coming back down and then up. Lower time frame. I just talked to you about MACD. We have an impulse up. MACD turned red. So this 4-hour impulse upward has ended once the MACD flipped red. I personally think that we're going to drop out of this range like this, maybe slightly lower, recover, and I'll be buying that. If we get a recovery right here, I'll be buying pretty heavy. Now we could do something like this. So it may not be, oops, delete that one. It may not mean that we're immediately going to the moon when we bounce here. It could be some kind of running flat or another type of structure here. But it's been pretty common that the A wave makes the low for the entire move. I would love to see something like that. And that's actually why I brought up Neo. It has a flat similar to that going on already. So what if we don't get this dip? Or what if we just rip through? If we rip through and do something like this, then I'm looking for shorts. Otherwise, I'm not interested in shorts at all. I'm only looking for longs unless we get through this zone. Take out this higher low. If we take out this higher low, then I get bearish. All right, I think that's really all I have for Bitcoin. Let's flip over to gold real quick. Now I suggested gold's going down. I don't really care. I'm not trading gold. I just don't like gold. But I'm not going to talk about that too much because that's not really relevant to why I brought up gold. So if we look at gold, it had a move down. And it was kind of a 1, 2, 3 sideways slowed down. So if you're talking about Elliott wave terms, it's probably a 1, 2, 3, 4 somewhere in some kind of expanding diagonal. In fact, I can see that possible. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would be interesting. But some kind of diag that's hard to count as an impulse, and therefore it's probably not an impulse, it's probably a corrective motive wave, which is a diagonal. Ended here, and we went into this massive A, B, C, or 1, 2, 3. I don't care how you count it. Depends if we're top tier or not. I think it's an ABC, but it's possible that this move is not complete. This move here is what I'm looking at, what I'm watching on Ethereum, this completed move. Well, it's not completed. I just said it may not be completed. But this move that I already have data for. Here, let's pull the whole thing. From the top to here. I'm going to copy that, and we're going to go look at ETH. try to get an exchange I haven't drawn too much on. Okay, this one will work. I'm gonna go down from a weekly. Let's go to the daily. And I'll just paste that. Interestingly, can't really do it on log. Sorry, I didn't have this as part of the plan. Okay. This is what I'm referring to. Unfortunately, it didn't come out perfectly. Let's send it. Let's make it a line so you can see better. We have this move down, a flat behind it, another move down, matching this move down, a flat there, which we had a flat here. Flat, smaller flat on the gold fractal. And then we had some kind of mess on the gold fractal, and we have some kind of mess on Ethereum. So after that, we've started a new move up here. In my opinion, we're here in this consolidation right now. We have another push up to 207 to 220 type range before a larger flat goes in, and then we continue up again. So the question then becomes, what happens after this flat goes in? Are we then going to dump like this? To the same degree? Let me try to flip to log. See how the, let's just hide that, we don't really need it. Probably not going to 0, maybe not even to 36, but it is possible that after this completes, we go pretty low. It's also possible that that's just another A wave. A, B, C, B, C. So this is an outlook that some of you may not like. Kind of like this. For a couple years. No parabolic moves at all. What's more relevant is this current piece. I still see some upside. And you can see the potential flat here already. Pretty much, I'm not a big wave counter. I use wave analysis, but I don't count a whole lot. But pretty much something like this where it's 1, 2, It's not exactly clear. Perhaps like this, even possibly like this, where this is all a corrective structure of some sort. Before moving up. And this looks like a potential flat. So where did we see a corrective structure like this before? Well, last time ETH went parabolic, it made a corrective structure quite similar. So something like that is quite possible again here on a smaller scale. And I would think that we would be here in this piece. And you can see the similarities. Currently, I'm in a small Bitcoin short, but ETH actually looks pretty dang solid. Makes me worry about my short. This looks like continuation up. And you could have a trade something like this. With the 5.5% stop loss, you have to size appropriately. But this appears to be some kind of impulse and correction behind it. So you could technically base your stop on a lower time frame. Probably what I would prefer to do. How many of these did I get? What I would probably prefer to do is do a stop buy here and then put your stop loss at the low. You just cut your risk in half and you can size a little bit larger. Your target's still the same. But you could also enter here with a stop at this low. Again, you're talking about almost 4%, so I don't love those. You could do it here, but that's pretty risky. There's a pretty good chance that we could do this and then continue reverse. So we would hunt your stop and then reverse. So that's not my preferred, but it is something you could potentially do. I'm going to screen grab this real quick. And let me take this guy off. And then let's touch on Neo real quick. Tradinator brought up Neo. I'm not trading Neo currently, but Tradinator posted a flat. I believe it was this one. Suggesting more upside. He also showed this. So these are the same things I just showed on Ethereum. So his analysis lines up pretty well with what I was already showing you, but suggesting that this is a flat of some sort for more upside. Now, why do we even care about these patterns? Guys, if you don't remember the uptrend, highly recommend looking back at it where we had flats happen everywhere. I don't know what I was drawing here. Oh, fair enough. Did a post about the log and linear fibs. Don't really need that anymore. But look, there's an ABC here. There's a flat here. There's all kinds of flats on lower time frames. If you look at Bitcoin, it had the most of them. This is all a corrective flat structure of some sort, flat here. And a flat corrective structure here. So if you don't know the power of flats yet, I'm sorry. I recommend learning them. Simply put, it's a three-wave corrective structure. The B wave can take a while. As you see here, the B wave can play out over a long time, but you've got A, B, C. 1, 2, 3 waves of correction. 1, 2, 3 waves of correction. 1, 2, 3 waves of correction. So we're looking for the same thing on these other charts, which seem like they could be completing that. Here's the current trade I was talking about. I don't know how I feel about it right now. It's not even lined up properly. I thought we were going to drop out of this because this guy has been quite common in the past. And then sideways. So I'm in short kind of like this. Oh, it was up there because I'm in it on the other chart. I'm in it on the H20 contract, not on the perps. So it's still valid, but looking at ETH and Neo, this actually kind of looks more like a bullish impulse and corrective structure behind it, whereas here it looks like we could continue down. It's not something I would really enter right now if I was choosing to enter though. Besides, by the time this video is uploaded, this move will probably be complete. That's why it's better to talk about higher time frame. All right, guys, I think that's all I've got covered. I looked at Amazon, I looked at Bitcoin, I looked at Ethereum, gold, and Neo. I think that's everything I'm planning to cover. So, synopsis, if we drop, buy. If we do this, buy here. Looking for 9.6, 10.1, 11.4. That's everything I got. We will see you in the next video.